Here we go. Good evening, everybody. We have a very special guest with us tonight. In fact, we have a very special group of guests with us. You see here on your screen, Rabbi Tachtel and some of his students from the University of Illinois. They're here to join us and share with us about their recent journey, a special trip that they took together. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Welcome to our Torah in 10. Leave you a little background so you understand our program here. So back when COVID began over 2.5 years ago, and of course, everybody was all panicked about how we're going to make Pesach. So we started this program, doing it here. We would spend a few minutes teaching people how to prepare their kitchens and kosher and so forth, and then a few minutes on how to run a Seder. And everybody had such a good time, we decided to continue it. So 5 nights a week, we have learning. And one night of those 5, we have special guests. We've been able to feature shluchim from all over the world, from Taiwan and Myanmar and small communities throughout the United States. We had your brother Zalman on from Kansas. We had a student from his Chabad house, who's actually originally from Illinois, join us. We've had community members from different places. We've had people from the main offices, Yossi Gordon from Chabad.edu and Ephraim Mintz from JLI. And this has become a very favored feature. And we heard about your trip with your students. So we were very excited to have you join us, and we're very appreciative. So first of all, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and give us a little background. How long have you been at the University of Illinois? Some of the people watching here are alumni. Maybe they have children or nephews or nieces or friends' children who are there. So before we even talk about the trip, maybe give us a little background about Chabad at U of I.
Thank you so much. You can hear me? Am I clear?
We hear you loud and clear. Tonight's
First, I'm
class is
joined here by
dedicated to, just want to mention tonight's class is dedicated to the memory of Bilha Bas Dvorah Avraham. Sorry. Okay. Please.
Yes. The Neshama have an Aliyah. We just concluded here at 8 Shiva service. So in our community. So I'm joined here by our dear alumna, just graduated Eliza, and our dear student leader Brandon, who are with us as well. We're with us of the students. So my wife Goldie and I direct Chabad at University of Illinois now for 19 years.
Oh wow.
We had 20th year soon. This August is going to be our 19th anniversary. So one of the exciting things always, obviously working with our dear students, is helping all our students discover their true selves, to be able to connect to themselves and grow, and to, the beautiful things, every student realizing their capability of becoming lamplighters themselves through classes and through socials and through an experience. And thank God we started from our first year in 2003 till now in a 1-bedroom apartment to where we are today. It's been a very big growth of Jewish life, both in campus and community. I also have our community member, Art Wessel, with us, who helped found our Minyan many years ago, which now we meet daily. So thank God it's been a tremendous, tremendous growth of Jewish life on campus, that soon we're going to have our students' children coming, our alumni. That's, and we have quite a few of our alumni live in Chicago and live in some of them live actually near Beis Menachem. So we have probably like 11 families there. And sometimes we have weddings to do together for Rabbi Epstein. So it's been a very, very exciting time. And it's the greatest excitement is to see our students growing and making their own communities and their own families and growing forward after they graduate. Wonderful. So among the exciting things that we do, starting in winter 2005-06 was my first trip to Birthright Israel. So having the special opportunity to travel with our students to our birthright, to our homeland, to together visit the space. And each group that I go with, my first group in 05, today's a lot of them are married with kids, to our group this year, each group I go with is like my first time going to Israel. It's exciting. It's seeing Israel through the eyes of the students. And it's very, very special because going to our birthplace, I should say our birthright, where we all have our homeland, and coming back to campus or going back to the professional world, you come with a whole different energy and a whole different excitement and a whole different everything. So it's really, really special. This year was extra special as we took 2 buses.
Wow.
Eliza was our student leader for the overall buses. Brandon was a big energizer with the sophomores going. inspiring a lot of his friends to sign up. And we had actually 2 buses, which is unbelievable. Most of the time we were together simultaneous, and other parts of the time we did each of our own thing. But it was very special because not only was 2 buses, it was 2 buses. One was focused mostly on underclassmen, mostly sophomores, and one was upperclassmen, mostly seniors, which enabled the students to actually be literally with their peers, the same age group, the same stage where they're holding on campus, which is not something we do every year, but it's very special to be able to do that. So we visited Israel from the north to the south, everything from the highlight, spending Friday night at the Kotel with thousands of people, to experiencing the bars of Tel Aviv and everything in between. We got a full-on experience of everything, like everything at Chabad. It's not about what, am I this kind of Jew or that kind of Jew, or just Jewish. And that was the beautiful thing. We most nights we sat together to between 2 and 4 a.m. and started the days at 8 a.m. I'm still recovering from 10 days with the awesome students. And it was really, really special. I mean, if you show you a couple of highlights here, and I'll turn it over to the students. Let me share my screen a second here. So if you look through our experience, you see my screen here?
We can, yes.
So we did everything from starting off, we had Israeli soldiers with us all 10 days, which was really, really special experience. This, of course, is our birthright bus, which was our home while we were in Israel.
Nice.
So if you see over here, we started on our beginning of our trip, we started visiting the mystical city of Tzfat.
Beautiful.
And learning about Tzfat and Kabbalah and mysticism. A very exciting thing that we did in Tzfat actually was we learned about mikvah, the woman, with the woman learning about the mikvah, and this is a great guy who
we can't hear the sound.
That was really great. And the guys actually got a chance to visit the mikvah of the Arizal, great Kabbalist, and we all took a dunk inside as well. All the guys jumped into the water, very brave of them, not knowing what we're going to do or just doing it. After an amazing spiritual trip to Tzfat, of course, we have to have a physical high. So we went to a great winery where we learned about the wineries in Israel, got a little wine tasting.
Nice.
It was quite the experience. So the first day we were in Tzfat, ended up for dinner in Tiberias, spending our time actually in the north. We also actually, in the beginning, my pictures are in order. In the beginning, first day we went to we were rafting down the Jordan.
Nice.
So we got the first 2 days were basically up north, which thereafter we ended off that part of the trip up north visiting a kibbutz, a religious kibbutz, to learn about kibbutz life. And it was very fascinating because we actually learned how in Israel they're developing now organic farming, but organic meaning to say they developed how you could develop bugs that take care of other bugs. So God made an amazing world. How naturally we could take one bug, could take care of another bug, and take care of everything without having to deal with infestation, etc. The groups afterwards got to Jerusalem. One group went Segway riding. While the other group went to an overview of Jerusalem. So that was a very, very, very big highlight coming to Jerusalem. This is the sophomore group, Brandon's group, overlooking Jerusalem in the first view, and it was very exciting. Obviously, the first time we went to the Kotel, and we went to the walls, the original entrance to the temple, the Bet HaMikdash, was something very, very special. It was also special. This is one of our students, Daniel Rab,
nice.
who used to learn here, but now he graduated and he made Aliyah to Israel, and he's right now serving the paratroopers. He was on my birthright trip 3 years ago.
Wow.
Many students, all the guys put on film, was really, really special. And of course, the highlights Friday night, which we can't have pictures, of course, visiting the Shuk, we can have pictures of us Friday night. There's pictures in our mind, 5,000 people dancing at the Kotel. Sunday was something very unique because one group went to the Yad Vashem, which is, as we all know, a very important space to be. While the other group, the seniors, went to a kibbutz called Nir Galim, which kibbutz put together by survivors. They actually just recently got an original car. In this car, people were taken to the camps. It was very, 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 very special experience between both these experiences. But the most important lesson we can learn is really growing from this. How are we going to stay proud and stay tall, and of course, after a special highlight in Jerusalem of Shabbat and visiting the old city and visiting all those spaces, we moved on to Tel Aviv, which what is Israel without visiting Tel Aviv, which really cool. We had a bucket hat exchange and a lot of different exchanges. One of the groups actually went to get involved in an organization called Leket. Leket takes extra fields that aren't being used, surplus vegetables, surplus of meals, surplus of weddings. People have so much extra food, and they deliver it to people that cannot afford food. So the students who are actually involved in actually picking this year was Shemitah, so actually the fields were owned by a non-Jew this year, but this is what the students were doing. We also visited the home of our tour guide. I made a new friend, it was very nice. They're not bringing him back to America. We also, once we were from Tel Aviv, we went down south to Masada, learning about the resilience of the Jewish people, something really special. The ruins of Masada. We actually got to see how they're writing a Torah on Masada.
Wow.
Which is something really, really special. We came back to Jerusalem on our last night here. This was actually personally, I had a special close friend of mine, one of the 3 children many years ago that were kidnapped in Israel, and he's the father of one of the boys, close friend of mine. He was going to speak to our group, and didn't work out that part, so he came to visit early in the morning. We did a lot of tefillin on the go. Of course, Israel is not complete without visiting the Bedouin tents and Jaffa, and that's where we ended off our last day, hanging out together. The only night we weren't together was the last night after dinner. We had 2 different hotels 20 minutes apart. It was really, really special. All in all, it was a very, I'm going here very quickly. I'm reliving every moment, but each day is a highlight. Each day is amazing. I've been speaking to so many of our students, and it's not really about what we're seeing, it's about what we're taking back with us. So ultimately, sorry, let me stop the share. Ultimately, it all boils down to what we're bringing back home with us. And that's why we're very excited that our trip, we're not only going to have the trip, but we're coming back to campus and have a lot of follow-up here on campus and Eliza with the young professionals in Chicago. So it was really exciting, really special, and really energizing.
All right. So Eliza and
Hear
Brandon.
from the mouths of the students. I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
So give us a little background, Eliza. Where are you from originally?
So I'm from Chicago, from the city.
Okay. And you're a senior now, or you graduated already?
I just graduated.
Congratulations. What did you study?
Thank you. I was elementary education.
Okay, very nice. Wonderful, beautiful. Is this your first trip to Israel? Had you been to Israel before?
Yes, no, this was my 3rd time in Israel.
Third time. Oh boy.
And
okay.
I actually lived in Tel Aviv for 9 weeks last summer.
Oh boy.
Like through a program.
Okay, so now you were in a leadership position. What would you say jumped off the page about people who it was their first time? Is there something that you noticed from a first timer that was in your group?
Yes, like David said, it's so different and fun and exciting to like see like people just experiencing and seeing Israel for the very first time, and just like even simple things like the shock of floating in the Dead Sea to like, Friday night at the hotel, just all of it coming together. Another thing that I thought was special was I did have a lot of very close friends on the trip too, whose first time was like this trip. And so like all year long, I was like telling them about Israel, telling them about all this stuff we were going to be doing and seeing, and just kind of like it all coming together and really happening. Fantastic. Another thing that I got to experience, which was pretty unique, was after when we traveled to Europe, like just a small group of my friends, we were just like talking about all these like new places we were seeing, and every single time they were like, this was awesome, but there's no place like Israel. Like, this has been a fun trip, but this was nothing like, everything we just experienced. And I knew that going in, but like, it was really cool to see like my friends who had never been be like, like there really is nowhere else in the world like Israel. Like, while we were seeing like all different places in the world, like just kind of coming back to the same conversation, like this is cool, this is fun, but there's really nothing like this. So that was another like cool thing that even though it was after the trip, just, like all the reflections and
Sure.
yeah.
Brandon, let's jump in here. So you're a sophomore.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
finished my sophomore year.
Congratulations. Where are you from originally?
I'm from the northern suburbs. I'm from Deerfield.
From Deerfield. So you're from Illinois, and
Yeah.
what are you studying there in university?
I'm studying financial planning.
Oh, okay, excellent. So was this your first time in Israel? Have you been before?
It was not. It was my second time. I went with my family a few years back, but this was like a whole completely different experience.
So what would you say, perhaps from some of the people that you were in a leadership position of, besides worrying that nobody gets lost, but did you have any reaction from the other students who maybe it was their first time? Was there something that caught your eye that was maybe something you didn't expect or something that you kind of knew was going to happen? What was that like?
I just knew like how that my friends were just going to be so like just so into like the whole culture of Israel and seeing all the different sites every day and just it really was 10 days of nonstop, like seeing amazing things and getting to do amazing experiences. So I knew like my friends were just going to be like so impressed with, everything that Israel has to offer.
How many students were on your bus, the sophomore bus?
I think there was about 34,
About
Rabbi.
34. And they're all from Illinois, from University of Illinois?
There was actually a few of my friends brought some of their friends from different schools. So it wasn't technically all Illinois.
Was there anyone there that you didn't know before that you'd never met?
On my bus, I knew everyone pretty much except for the Israeli soldiers.
So Eliza, I see you nodding your head. Were there kids on your bus that you had never met before?
Yes, there was actually like a bunch, and it's been awesome because I'm still in touch with a bunch of kids that I had no idea going.
So you bonded with them from this experience that you had never met before. Were there any kids, well, you were sort of planning this trip who were like, I don't want to go, and I'd rather go somewhere else. And then you dragged them along. Did you get any resistance from anyone that you tried to persuade? You did. And what was their reaction post the trip? Were they happy they went? They were like, oh, I should have stayed home and played video games? Or what was sort of the reaction of some of the kids who may have been a little hesitant to go?
I mean, my friends, we were, I would say, a little late to the game in terms of getting on the trip, and I kind of had to push some of them, but everyone like really absolutely loved it. No regrets whatsoever.
Was there anybody who pointed to one specific event or one specific visit or one moment that really jumped off the page and they said, wow, this was something that I will remember, I hope to remember forever, or something that was really that they kind of didn't expect to happen?
I think Rabbi David kind of touched on it, but Friday night at the Kotel was really, I think, a special experience for everyone. It was kind of nothing like you ever, at least from where we're from, there's not really much anything like that. Like it was very
There's nothing like that anywhere you're from. I mean, Friday night at the Kotel, you just can't dial that up anywhere in the world. So that is fantastic. So give me some of the logistics. You all left together from Champaign. Like, how does the trip, do you have a pre-meeting to the trip? I mean, does everybody just sort of show up with their suitcases? Does the excitement build? Just give us a little bit of a feel of how this trip works. Sure, jump in.
So we had, I think it was like, we had a couple meetings. So the first one, we had one with one of the like Maya Note recruiters, which was fun because that was like when we first got to, like, we were recruiting and people who already knew they were doing the trip, like first got to meet in person. Then from there, we started making like different group me's and snap groups. So we all were like getting excited. There was for sure a lot of buildup. Then we had, I think it was 2 more meetings. One was like a shook night where we all had dinner together and we just talked about like what you said, more just like logistics from the trip, how we were getting there, airport day, how much money to bring, just like Q&A type of thing. And yeah, then we had a group chat going even like the night before was going off, and it was cool because like I was visiting a university and I met a bunch of students there that were also on the trip, and they were all nervous because they were the only like kids from India. It was Indiana that I was at, and I met them, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have like the best time ever. And like what you said, like they weren't resisting, but they were for sure nervous, and they like totally like joined in on the Illini family, which was nice and cool to see. And yeah.
Rabbi David, you've been making these trips for years. COVID came 2 years ago. At this point, it's almost 3 years ago. I imagine that trips got interrupted. Is this the first post-COVID trip this year, or did you go last year? Or
This is the first. Unfortunately, with COVID, we had to cancel like a summer, 3 summers ago. 2 summers ago, we had a few buses we had to cancel, and plus other trips to Israel that we do. So this was really exciting because this was really the first post-COVID restriction birthright.
so what
It's
do you
been
think?
unbelievable.
What was the reaction maybe of some of the students who'd never been out of the United States before? They don't speak the language. The security is different. Everything is different. I mean, do they feel at home? Do they feel
I'll tell you
like
that there was
tons
a much heavier worry before people went, much heavier anxiety that I've seen, because most students that were on a trip have never left the country. Usually by the time you go on birthright, people have traveled, but being that everything was shut down for 2.5 years, I would say majority of the students have never been out of America. Some of them have never really been out of Illinois. So there's a lot of
I went to
heavier
Wisconsin
anxiety.
once.
What?
I went to Wisconsin once.
Yeah, Illinois, I'm saying the Midwest area. And even those that traveled, even myself, my first international trip in 2.5 years, you didn't know what to expect. And we lucked out that the day we arrived, they canceled, you had to test when you arrived and before you left, so it took away a lot of the stress. But ultimately, people were nervous, but you know something? We also had a parents kind of group going, and the amount of parents that have reached out to me now that they want to know if I'm leading a trip to Israel for parents, it's been a very strong, positive energy. And ultimately, nothing could replicate, as Brandon said earlier about Friday night at the wall. The message that we're really speaking about is more than just the wall Friday night, the Kotel, was the fact that we're just Jewish. No one differentiated what kind of Jew you are. Whether you had a kippah or no kippah, a black kippah, a white kippah, a beard or no, whatever you were, everyone just danced together. And that message is a message that we have to live wherever we are, that we are one big Jewish community. And there's no differences where all our grandfathers and grandmothers are all the same. Sometimes we have to go all the way to Israel to experience that. And that was the beauty on the bus. The Israeli soldiers or the students, we're all really the same. We have different lived experiences because we grew up in different environments, but at the end of the day, we're all come from the same place. Right. And going to Israel reminds us that we are a continuum of 3,000 years. When we stand on the place where King Solomon built, King David built, we realize that this is us. If it ends with us, it's over. The last chain. But if we put our chain on the link, it continues with us. And this comes home when we're standing in the Holy Land. We're standing in Jerusalem. We're standing at the Western Wall. Or when you're standing anywhere in the Masada or north going down the Jordan or seeing the mountain that the Jewish people crossed over, it becomes real. That you ask me what I hear from the students, that's a big message I heard from students. And you know, our theme of this trip was a very important theme, was what it says in a Coke bottle in New York. You go to buy a bottle of soda in New York, yeah, it says 5 cents deposit. And it says you give 5 cents, you get back 5 cents. But if you don't put 5 cents, it says no deposit, no return. The mantra of our trip was no deposit, no return. You could be in the most unbelievable place in the world. If you're not going to deposit, if you're not going to be putting yourself into it, you're going to have no return. So we went to put deposit, to experience, to live. And even for myself, I've been to Israel more times than I remember. I look at it like my first time. How are we living? I've learned so many new things myself. But I know everyone put great deposits and great investments of the mental, the emotional, the physical, thinking and feeling. You come home, suddenly Judaism is not what I learned in Hebrew school, a bunch of Moses, it's, ideas
Moses
and
is,
textbooks.
that's not true.
It's
Moses
real.
Oh,
what?
That Moses part's not real?
The Moses part is real now. It wasn't just a coloring book.
Oh,
it's actually a real
I got
reality.
worried there for a moment. Okay, Rabbi, we promised you 15, 20 minutes. We've already gone over time. If anybody wants to jump in and unmute themselves and they have a question for the rabbi or for the students, otherwise we do want to respect their time and say thank you so much. If anybody wants to unmute and jump in, otherwise we'll say thank you. Welcome to America. Welcome back. We're glad to have you. Really, thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. Good luck on your schooling. Good luck with Chabad at University of Illinois. We look forward to all of us going to Eretz Yisrael with the coming of Mashiach. Good night, everybody. Tomorrow night, 9:15 from Mimer. And we'll send out the recording from tonight. Really appreciate it. Eliza, Brandon, Rabbi, thank you. 1,000 thank yous. And really, I'd love
Come
to
visit us.
story. Okay, we're happy to. We'll be there. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Good night. Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you.
Thank you.